Hello, mini freaks! My name is DJ, and this is my world in miniature. Boom! We are here in the new hobby space. Look at it; it's so pretty. Pause for B-roll. There we go. All right. So here we are. I know it's not super fancy or anything like that. I'm covering up most of the miniatures back there on the thing, but we'll work with it. We got it. We got it going. I'm finally feeling better. My back doesn't hurt nearly as much. I do have some ibuprofen here on the counter just in case. We're gonna try our hands today at non-metallic metal, or NMM. Say that 10 times fast. NMM. Sounds like you're saying M&M. We are painting Ashana, female Genie. That's what we're painting today, and we're going to try our hands at maybe doing some non-metallic metal on her little bikini thingy, and the thing she has in her hair, I think, is metal. I don't know. I have to get a better look at it, and the sword in the back. But I'm going to try my hand at trying what I think we should do for my, like, I've seen a bunch of people do it, and they say, oh, do it this way, do it that way. I have an idea using some varnish, some gloss varnish, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. What we're going to start off with here is putting this gloss top coat on every part that I want to be metal. That way, when I take the reference shots, it'll already be really high gloss, so that the shine on it will be the shine that you'd see on metal. And that way, all I have to do is really copy the shine from the gloss in the paint colors, and then we should be able to get a pretty good contrasting non-metallic paint. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just taking all the pieces that I want to be metal and painting them with gloss so that I can take the reference shots. Right, so this is what it looks like after I got done glossing everything. You can see that her bikini is glossed, the sword in her back is glossed, and you can also see kind of the light bouncing off it now, and it kind of looks like it's shiny or black metal. And that's what I kind of want it to look like, so that I can get the colors right. Alright, so this is the photo booth that I take all my reference shots in. I've since changed it to a different setup, but this is what I used to use. And all I do is take a couple pictures from all angles, and this is what I got. This is what I use for the rest of the piece to try and figure out where all the lighting and shadowing is. If you notice the two tiny pictures at the top left and right, the lighting angles I changed. On a mini, you're supposed to have 2 to 3 focal points, and on this particular mini, I decided the focal point was going to be her face and cleavage in the front, and then the sword in the back. Because of the way that her hair is and the way that the piece is sculpted, both of those features get really obscured if you do a top-down lighting effect like you see in the picture. And so what I did is I kind of tilted the mini back, and I took another picture with the light illuminating her face and the sword, because I want those to be the 2 focal points for the mini when I'm done. So this is the part where I'm going to have to apologize to you profusely. While I was filming this, because I film all my videos about 2 months in advance, so you're seeing this in March, I believe, is when you're going to see this. I filmed this back in January, and in Texas in January, there was a really big ice storm, and I did some work not filming because I didn't know if I was going to lose power. I went to Paint Club a couple times because I live really close to the place, so I didn't have to drive. And so there was a lot of work done in between the last shot of just having varnished the pieces that I want metal, and then what you're about to see, which is the base coat, I believe, is what I got done on this. Oh, and the sword. I finished the sword because I went to Paint Club and got some advice from some professional painters about how to do non-metallic metal, so I tried my hand on the sword. You'll see the sword here in a second, but yeah, it's a lot of progress done off screen, but I do finish the mini so we can talk about the process while I'm doing her bikini, and we can talk about other stuff as we go. But yeah, you're about to see a really big jump in the progress on the miniature. All right, so I stand corrected. I got her hair done. I got some shading pre-values done for her midsection, and I did the tassels and stuff. But yeah, if you stop here, you can see that I did the sword here, and this is my first attempt at the non-metallic metal. But as you can see, what really defines non-metallic metal is the contrast between the dark colors and the light colors. It's not so much shading or blending as you'd think it is. It's a lot of sharp changes from color from light to dark, and that's how you get that shine look. I really like the sword and the way it came out. The shine on the top of the gold parts is really good. I actually go back later, and I can't remember if I filmed it or not, but I go back later and I do some glazes, and I change the sword a little bit to get a little bit better, what I think is a little bit better than what it is now. But yeah, so that's the sword done. But once we get into painting the bikini, I'll go into a little bit more detail about how I like to approach the non-metallic metal. Right, so here I am finishing the smoke on the bottom half of her. The way I like to do this might be a little unconventional, I'm not sure, but it works for me and I like it, and I like the way that it comes out. But what I do is I go in pretty heavy on the shadows, because contrast is what you want. You want a good contrast between your shadows, your highlights, and your midtone is supposed to read as the color of the object, right? Like, I want her to be a dark, deep crimson red, and so my midtone is a crimson red, my highlight is a blood red, and my deep shadow is a black green. The reason why I do a black green is because green and red are contrasting colors. They're complementary colors on the color wheel. That means that it should have a big contrast between the dark and the light. And so I go in real heavy with the black and green, then I come back and maybe push it back a little bit with the crimson red, just until I get it the way I like. It's a lot of tweaking. I enjoy this process, so it doesn't bother me. I know it could probably go faster if I did something else, but I like doing it this way. And then what I do is then I highlight with really thin glazes until I get just the right color. And then usually I call it quits and I'm done with that color or that part of the miniature. And so that's how I do this. I go real dark or real heavy with the shadows. Then I come back with the mid-tone and kind of tone it down a little bit, like push them back into the crevices a little more. And then I do a really thin glaze, and I just glaze up the highlights until it gets to a point that I'm satisfied with the color. It is at this point in our journey that we need to remember to pay tribute to our four-legged overlords.
Has turned traitor, and driven by his hatred for Magnus the Red, has utterly decimated the Thousand Suns. Which, as you might remember,
That was the intermission. If you can name that podcast in the comments down below, you'd be a super cool person. And while you're down there, like the video. Okay, we'll do it live. All right, so here we are. What we're going to do is we're going to paint the bikini gold, but we're going to input some jewels. So inside, these are little, I interpret these as little owls. These little things right here on her bikini top and her bikini bottom. I think they're two owls. So we're going to make the eyes sapphires, and we're going to maybe make these little clasp things sapphire. I'm not sure if I want to do an amber beak, so like an orangey beak. And then we're going to do ruby on her little beaded bracelets that are on her arm here. I don't know how well you can see those, but... And then everything else is going to be gold. Then we're going to do gold on everything else, and then she'll be done, finally. Oh, wait, we got to do the little genie lamp down here. That's got to be gold, too. Subscribe. Do it. Do it or else. Subscribe. Hey, you there. You there. I see you right there. Why you no subscribed? Subscribe! How stupid was that? Okay, so here we are, meat and potatoes of the video here. I don't know if I could explain this to you properly. A lot of this is, for me, is artist intuition. So I'm going to try my best to describe what I'm doing here. So I've already base coated her in a mid-tone gold. It's not the darkest we're going to go, but it's not the lightest we're going to go either. What I go in and do after that is I put down a thin layer of the actual gold color. This is the color that will read gold when you look at it. So most of it's going to be covered up by this color. I'm going to leave a little bit in the recesses because it'll tint the brown that I put in to really contrast between the gold color and the shadows and that the metal casts. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, it's going to blend a little bit. We're talking a very small amount of space between the dark and the light color. It's still going to blend. You're going to glaze it in to blend it a little bit, but it's not going to be, big. It's not going to be a long distance, a big gradient, if you want to say it like that. The only thing that gets a really sharp, crisp line is the highlights, and that's going to be a much lighter yellow color, and that's how I'm going to do it here. There's about 4 colors in this gold by the time we're all done. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to take this gold color and kind of paint it over everything, leaving just the recesses and shadows in the base color. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take the brown, which I'm using a ruddy brown here. We're going to take the brown and we're going to go into all the really deep crevices with that brown. That gives a good contrast between the light and the dark. And remember, you don't want a smooth transition. You want one that looks fairly harsh. It'll be a smooth transition if you use water in your paints. It'll read as a smooth transition because it's going to be a little transparent, but you don't want to spend so much time on trying to get it to be a smooth transition. Remember, this is metal, and metal reflects harshly, not softly. We're not trying to paint satin or smoke or anything like that. We're trying to paint metal. So once you do that brown, you're going to see that it already reads as gold a little bit, and then you're going to be like, all right, well, now I just need some highlights. And that's when you go in and you get that bright yellow and you just dab, at least because this is a small piece, you're going to just put little dots of that yellow over everything that is going to reflect the light directly. Hopefully I can match up what I'm doing in the video to what I'm saying here, because this is a clip that was an hour long that I needed to chop down into these little pieces to show you what I'm doing. So hopefully we can get everything going good. Once I got done with the jewels and the bikini and the armor pad on her top, I called it a wrap. Thank y'all so much for watching from the bottom of my heart. This one was a lot of fun to paint. I'm so happy that she looks this good when it's all said and done. So thank y'all again. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.